foolish mortals.
Hello there. Are you insane? Get out of here!
Remain seated with your seatbelt fastened.
Right, off you go.
Welcome to Average Joe Orlando. Hello, theme park goers. Welcome to another theme park monthly review. This one's for October 2024. And I have to say, when I start putting these lists together, I go, okay, well, what do we have? And as news comes out around the theme parks for the month, I start jotting them down. And I was worried for this one. I was like, all right, this might be a little bit of a slow month. Nope, wrong. There's a lot of stuff that we have to talk about. Hurricanes, Epic Universe opening dates, Lightning Lane Premiere Plus Extreme. I don't know. We're going to talk about it all. So let's dive right into it. All right, where to start? Why don't we start with the beginning with hurricanes? Woo! We are prime month for hurricanes. Unfortunately, it always happens towards the end of the season, and for me, that's Halloween Horror Nights, which means everything has to come down. We had two big ones, Helene and then Milton. Milton actually closed Halloween Horror Nights for 2 full days, SeaWorld for 2 full days, Disney for like a day and a half, and Universal for a day and a half. I don't know if anybody else realizes, but they always seem to come overnight, which is definitely great for the anxiety when you live here when they come through. But at least Orlando, it came through overnight. Did some damage. However, the parks did reopen the day after. So they came around Wednesday. They started slowing down the parks and closed everything within phases. And then everything shut down for Wednesday night, all day Thursday. And then somehow miraculously, everything on Friday, not miraculously, I would say it was the team members, the cast members, everybody working hard in the parks, got everything reopened. I got to go a few days after to Halloween Horror Nights, and everything was set back up. You would never know that anything happened. It was very impressive. They did a great job over at Halloween Horror Nights for that. I haven't been to Disney yet to see what happens over there, but that's okay. I'm sure it's fine. But let's skip ahead, and I'll go around to the different parks. Let's start on the West Coast, work our way back east over to Disneyland in California. So next year is the 70th anniversary of the park, which is exciting. Mostly, for me at least, I know the first time I ever went was for the 60th, and one of my favorite things I went, obviously, first time seeing Disneyland was amazing, but Paint the Night, their nighttime parade. Owl City did the soundtrack. It was the song from Wreck-It Ralph, and then they remixed. It was just great, and ever since the 60th, they had it at Disneyland, and then it was over at California Adventure, and then it kind of just disappeared, and we haven't, for I guess 8 years now, haven't really heard anything about it. They brought back the Main Street Electrical Parade about 500 times for some reason. But you're like, where's Paint the Night? This was a great parade. This was an expensive parade. Well, they dropped it on the social media that it will be returning next year. Now, we don't know details. We don't know if it's going to be at Disneyland or at California Adventure or the opening day. But all I know, it's going to be there for the 70th. And that means I think there's a trip to Disneyland in my future for next year. Also at Disneyland, they started Tiana's Bayou Adventure previews. Started with the cast member previews and then into annual pass holder previews. So that is getting ready to open out there as well. Switching over to, let's pop around. Well, international parks, not too much going on. Now everything has started for the Halloween parades and the shows and everything. They always start a little bit after us, but also we start in, mid-August now? So I think that's kind of crazy, but that's okay. They started. But over at Walt Disney World, a few little things going on. We had the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy show closed, and nobody cared. I never got to see the show. I walked in one time to see what it looked like, but yeah, it's closed. So that was over. If you've never been to that show, you will never go now because it's closed. But that's over behind Rock and Roller Coaster. It's kind of in a weird dead-end courtyard. So you go to the dead-end courtyard, and then there's a little opening, and then there's another building randomly back there, and there was Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy. It was basically a stage show with a lot of screens and a animatronic of Lightning McQueen, which seems weird to have a racing show where everything's kind of stagnant. But it's going to be opening, and they announced it as a villain show, and I believe I spoke about this on my last one. So it looks like that is underway. Also, a lot of discounts have dropped for 2025 and early 2025, which is interesting. And you wonder, does that mean they're already projecting everything to be not as busy? Maybe because of Epic Universe, which we will definitely get into today. But a lot of discounts have dropped. However, I have noticed the parks have been much busier this month. October seems to have picked up. We had a very slow summer here at all the parks. As somebody who frequents both of them over at Disney and Universal, it's been kind of nice. Obviously, it's hot. It's disgusting out for the summer. Nothing really crazy new going on. However, kind of slow. So maybe they're all waiting for the colder weather to come in to enjoy the parks. But it seems like next year, yeah, good discounts that have dropped. Room rehabs have continued over at Walt Disney World, including the Port Orleans French Quarter. And also, what they dropped this month were the candlelight processional narrators. So I'm going to go through that list because there are some pretty cool ones on there, some new ones. There is, starting with Josh Gad. He's returning. If you ever saw his, I guess it was a social media post that he did a few years ago, but he found a cast member named Samantha over at, I think it was Flight of Passage, and he took a picture with her that he found Samantha. So I always think that's cool that Josh Gad is enjoying the parks. I've noticed a lot of them will go enjoy the parks during the day. So if you're in the park that when they're going to be performing that night, a lot of times you might see them. After him will be Nico Santos. So if you don't know him, he is from Superstore. Also was in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but more importantly, Superstore, because that's one of my favorite shows of all time. After that, Chrissy Mentz, Whoopi Goldberg, a new one, Titus Burgess. I already looked at my calendar to make sure I can go to that one. I still love Titus from The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, so yes, Titus is there. Brendan Fraser returning. Ralph Macchio is new this year. Gary Sinise is coming back. So is Neil Patrick Harris, Pat Sajak, Gloria Stefan, Edward James Olmos, Sterling K. Brown, and finishing out is Jodie Benson, of course, who I probably have seen in the parks like more times than I can count. If you don't know who she is the voice of The Little Mermaid. And she loves coming to the parks and doing this as well. So it's a really great lineup this year. That will be starting November 29th and then running all the way through December 30th. So a lot of dates to pick and to go over there. Now they do the candlelight package because it does fill up. So they do a dining package. I did notice it seems like they added a lot more this year, which probably means there's going to be a lot less standby. For me, I usually try to stand just in the back. My thing is I just want to get a glimpse of them and be like, oh, there they are. And then I move on with my night. But if you really want to go see somebody, I know Brendan Fraser last year was apparently insane to go see him. Obviously, because it's Brendan Fraser. Why wouldn't you? But yeah, I would recommend it. If there's somebody that you really want to see, you might want to look into those candlelight packages instead for that one. And then we could jump over to, let's go to Lightning Lane Premiere, the most controversial one. So Lightning Lane Premiere has dropped this news that it's going to be starting on October 30th, 2024. And it says they'll begin piloting the rollout of Lightning Lane Premier Pass, because there's 20 different passes, with very limited quantities for guests staying at the Disney Deluxe Resorts and Disney Deluxe Villa Resorts. And how it works. So you get a one-time entry into each available Lightning Lane experience for one day, including the most in-demand attractions. You could ride it whenever you want, aka whatever has Lightning Lane, you can go on it whenever you want. You don't need to book your time. And then you also get photos and videos that come with them and unlock Disney PhotoPass lenses. So you're only eligible at this time if you are staying at one of those hotels starting at that date, and they're going to be limited quantities. This is also coming to Disneyland out in California, so you could do it there also. They do have the other options, of course, the single ride ones, and which you can only book for like those big rides, and then the multi-pass. It keeps changing to the most confusing thing. I think my biggest gripe with it, well, there's a lot, is the price. So the price is kind of insane. So it's dependent on your park and dependent on the date, as they normally do. But it ranges anywhere from the lowest being $129 per person per day to $449 per person per day, plus tax. So basically, it depends on where you want to go what day. Obviously, the slowest day at Animal Kingdom is going to be $129, and the busiest day at Magic Kingdom will be $449. But for reference, I was curious with this one. So this is only if you're staying at a Disney Deluxe Resort. So you're staying at a Disney Deluxe Resort and you want to just go to Magic Kingdom with it, you could be paying about $450 per person for just this option, which to me, just do a VIP tour. If you got that kind of money to burn, first off, good for you. Secondly, maybe just get a VIP tour if you really want to do it. Also, it's not transferable between parks, it seems. It looks like if you're doing Magic Kingdom, you book it for Magic Kingdom. If you're booking Epcot, you book it for Epcot. So if you want a park hop, you're paying twice. So it starts on October 30th. So I went ahead and looked up October 30th if I want to go stay at Universal. Why do you ask? Well, Universal gives free Express Pass to everybody who's staying in the room at any of their deluxe resorts. And that's Royal Pacific, Hard Rock, and Portofino Bay. So my personal favorite out of their 3 current ones, they do have a new one opening next year with Epic Universe, is Royal Pacific. I like that hotel. So if I wanted to stay on October 30th, and I get the Florida resident discount, being a Florida resident, I would be paying for the room for 2 guests $345 for a night. And that comes with this Express the day you check in and the day you check out. So if you want to go first thing in the morning, check in. Granted, your room probably won't be ready, but they could hold your bags. And then go enjoy the park, have Express. The next day, check out. They could hold your bags, and then you can go enjoy the park. You get 2 days of Express for 2 people for $345. That's literally less than usually Express cost. At Disney, if you want to do this for the same thing and have the 2 days plus the 1 night at the hotel, a deluxe hotel alone is starting over $400 if you're lucky. And on top of it, you could be paying up to $450 per person, per day, per guest, per park, blah, blah. What are you doing? Yeah, it's a little stressful when you think about that one. Like I said, if you could afford it, go wild. I think it's a little tough one. I would love to see Disney go fully over into the Universal model. That's my personal opinion of just doing the Express instead of giving it out to so many people for the lower model, and the lines are so long for their Lightning Lane. I personally have never used Lightning Lane just because I am spoiled by living here. I can go to the parks when it's quieter, and so because of that, I got a little snooty in the way that if it's over 30 minutes, I'm not going to be waiting. I'll come back on a slower day, or I'll try to hit it at a off-peak time since I have the flexibility with annual passes to come as I like. However, you kind of feel bad for the guests that come, book it, and then end up waiting in these long lines, or they don't have another option because it is so expensive already to get in the park. What is your option? It feels like in one way they are pricing out some of the guests, which is definitely upsetting. But we will see how it goes. It is a pilot, so who knows? This could grow into other options. This could disappear completely. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with this. But clearly they are constantly overlooking their Lightning Lane as they have replaced it, 3 times now or 2? It's nonstop. You want them just to say, hey, do it, because you kind of feel bad for all the travel agents or the vloggers who are constantly trying to do research and tell more people about it, and just everything gets outdated so quickly. For me, I just kind of come here and vent and tell you this is confusing. I don't know. What do I know? Let's move on to Universal. There was a big thing from Universal this week. They announced Universal Epic Universe is opening May 22nd, 2025. I don't know about you, but that's much earlier than I expected. Obviously, when they originally said it was going to be 2024 when they announced it. With COVID, they had some delays, but only by a year, which is super impressive. Universal really didn't let COVID get in their way. During COVID, they built and opened the Velocicoaster, which is probably one of their best rides to date. So Universal clearly is just dumping money because obviously the sooner they open the park, the sooner they could start making the money back to pay off this park. So the email that I got, being an annual pass holder, was Epic Universe admission for pass holders is on sale October 24th. So I have the option to go on and book it, and I'm very curious to see how everything goes with opening. Being it's so early, what does that mean? Are they going to do annual pass holder previews? Are they going to do team member previews? Are they going to do media previews if they're opening this early? I thought for sure it was going to be mid to late summer and start maybe previews in June. So this is definitely a much earlier date than expected. If you don't know too much about Epic Universe, first off, where have you been? And secondly, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So Universal purchased some property down the road from their current resort, and the amount of property that they were able to nab up is more than, I believe they said online, double. Don't quote me on that. What they currently have. It is enormous, and it's crazy they found it. Some people gripe, it's so far, but if you ever go stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge and you want to go to Magic Kingdom, that's further. So this isn't that bad. You're also redoing the roads to have bus lanes, similar to if you've been over by Disney Springs area. So there will be transportation back and forth, or you could just park over at Epic Universe. There's also 3 hotels coming. There's going to be the Helios Grand Hotel, which is their large deluxe or whatever they call their highest category hotel, which will be really in the park, features views of the park on the one side. And then also in the front, they have the Stella Luna and Terra Nova. Yeah, I got that right. Which are more their value hotels, which honestly look really cool and are right towards the front. So not terribly far. The park is divided into 4 lands, and what's neat is when you look at it, all the concept art, and if you watch on YouTube, a lot of people take drone footage over the top. They added a lot of areas for expansion pads, which as a theme park nerd is exciting because that means they will constantly be expanding and not having to demolish. If only Disney thought about expansion pads instead of having to demolish the Rivers of America. Oh wait, they have enough room. Then why are we demolishing the Rivers of America? Never mind. So they are dividing into 4 lands. You're going to start in Celestial Park. So the whole idea is like the cosmos and star signs and space. Sure, that sounds great. The universe, Epic Universe. So you start off in Celestial Park. There is a roller coaster in there, a dueling roller coaster. The Stardust Racers. The cool thing about this one, from all the concept art, you can see that they are apparently just doing lights on the ride vehicles and not on the track. So at night, it's going to look like the stars and like racing and comets. And then there's also going to be a carousel in the middle, and that kind of turns uniquely, and a nighttime show because they have a giant like Bellagio-style fountain. There are 4 lands where you can go through different portals to get into it. So think of it, the layout is a little different than a traditional park where you might think that it's more round with the hub and spoke, kind of like the Magic Kingdom or even Islands of Adventure that is just round without the spoke. But it is going to be like a straight shot with 4 portals, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. You have a Super Nintendo World, which is going to feature the Mario Kart, or as I say, being originally from New York, Mario Kart. So the Mario Kart ride. I did go on this ride when I was at Universal Japan. I was unfortunately less than impressed. I see what they were trying to do. They wanted clearly a non-height requirement attraction so that all family, can ride together, which is cool to have that. However, I wish they did that elsewhere. They have the Yoshi ride, which is just an Omni mover for families, but this one, it was a little bit, I wanted faster and I wanted a little more interactive. It was a little bizarre. It's an AR model, so there's augmented reality. So you wear these goggles where you can see other characters in front, and there's physical sets, but it's a bus bar, so you're moving slow. Not my favorite. Some people do love it, which is great, so everybody can enjoy. But there's also the Donkey Kong roller coaster coming over there, which will be a very unique attraction. So it was supposed to open, which is interesting. It was supposed to open in Universal Japan earlier this year. However, it has been delayed. So I really hope they could figure that out over there before they open up this one, since clearly it's the exact same ride. But think of it as you're on a fake track in a mine cart, and then underneath there's an arm connecting to the actual track. So it'll give the illusion that you're jumping tracks or going off the track, and similar to the game. So that will be very interesting. There's also a whole How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk, which is going to feature the same show that's over in Universal Beijing, which, if you ever watched on YouTube, looks fantastic. I've never watched any of the How to Train Your Dragon movies. I've only heard good things. And from what I've seen of the land, I'm actually really interested to go to this one. There's a roller coaster, a water ride where like you could shoot back at people and targets, and then there's a like flying ride, which looks terrifying. But they have a lot of stuff going on over in that area. Then there's, of course, Harry Potter. Won't be a Universal Park without a Harry Potter section, and I am okay with that. This is Harry Potter, and this one's called the Ministry of Magic, which is going to be an interesting blend. You could definitely tell they started building this ride with the hopes of Fantastic Beasts being good, but unfortunately, each movie got worse and more confusing, and I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and trying to watch those movies is, what is happening? Who? What? Oh, what? So, yeah, I wanted it to be better. I really did. The land looks neat. You're going to be entering Wizarding Paris, which is from the second movie, and you're going into what looks like the actual streets of Paris, these large buildings. They'd never built such large facades or actual buildings within theme park, which is going to be pretty exciting to actually feel like you're in Paris and in Wizarding Paris. And then you take the Floo Powder Network over to the Ministry of Magic in London, which is interesting, but it ties together. And you're going to be over at the Ministry of Magic, and you're going to board, it looks like one of like the elevators, I think like a Wonkavator, and they got the actors back, and Umbridge is going to be the villain, and it's set on her trial date. And if you watch the Harry Potter movies, you know Umbridge is the worst. She's worse than Voldemort. I shouldn't say his name. But she's literally the worst person in the world. And so to me, she's the true villain of the movies. And so it's exciting that they got the actress back to play her. You're also going through her office. You're going to be in the life-size ministry. This is a really cool win because it was definitely one of those things that watching the movies, you go, I want to go to the ministry. Now, to me, all we need is the Great Hall. I need a Great Hall restaurant. Come on. Next up, please. It's also going to be a show, which is like a circus theme kind of show. But and it looks like there's also room for expansion back there, which I will always welcome more Harry Potter. And the last, but to me, the most exciting land of the park is Universal Monsters. So this is the classic Monsters, where you're entering the village of Darkmoor, and you will be entering into the Frankenstein's village area with basically it's like every day's Halloween Horror Nights. And as I mentioned more times than I can count on this podcast, that is my favorite event of the year. So to be able to go and have monsters and horror 24/7, it's exciting. So now if they could have Twisted Taters or pizza fries there 24/7, I'd be spoiled. But they have a few rides in there. So they're going to have the Curse of the Werewolf, which is a spinning roller coaster ride. And then they also have what I'm most excited for, I think because I know the least about, is the Frankenstein ride. So, or the Universal Monsters, I believe it's Unchained is the ride. I forget what the name of it is, but you enter in Frankenstein's castle, so it's now owned by Dr. Frankenstein's granddaughter, and it's a giant facade and a giant show building, and we don't know much about this attraction other than it's giant, and it's going to feature all the Universal monsters like we've never seen them before. So to me, I am most excited for this ride and anticipating this one. Very curious, and I hope it does well, and I hope it lives up to expectation, especially since it's such a big building. There's also restaurants, and you have the burning windmill. The whole town and the village is there. So overall, Universal Epic Universe, very excited. It's going to be an exciting year in Orlando for Universal. It looks like Disney is kind of taking the back seat, saying, hey, go ahead, because how do you compete with the new park? And then they're now going to be starting to build all the things they announced at D23. So to me, competition's great. Epic Universe is just hopefully lighting that fire under Disney to start building and hopefully keep growing and keep improving. But yeah, very interesting to see what's going to happen with Epic Universe. What's going to happen to the old parks, studios, and islands. Hopefully they could still draw that crowd there. And then probably for Universal, okay, we dumped all this time and money into Epic. What are we going to do to, bring people back to the older parks? Which is great for us because then we get to hopefully have some new experiences there as well. But yeah, so that's what's going on right now for October. Excited to see what happens with the next few months for the theme parks because now we are diving into the holidays. So a lot of holiday stuff coming up and a lot of holiday content coming up. But I will see you at the parks.
Thanks for taking a ride with Average Joe Orlando.
You made it! I knew you would. Is everyone okay? Hope you still want to open an account.
Say cheese. See you later.
Thanks, everybody. You were brilliant.
At this time, gather up your personal belongings and take your small grubs by their grubby little hands as you exit. Thank you.